Well, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, and that means it's time for another Food for Thought Friday. Well, it's that time again where minds turn to self-improvement. New year, new me. And of course, that brings us to the topic of goal setting. Now, whether you're intent on setting New Year's resolutions in your personal life or simply looking to up the ante in your professional development and execution in the year to come, it should be noted that not all goals are created equally. Well, if you don't already know, I've got a passion for bridging the gap between scientific scholarly research, specifically in the behavioral sciences, and real-world, real-life practical application. And today, I'm once again pulling from a Locke and Latham article titled New Directions in Goal-Setting Theory, which appeared in the Journal of Current Directions in Psychological Science. I'm going to show you in the article somewhere here on the screen, as I usually do, and I'll link the article for your access if you want to take a closer look. I'm also going to add a few commentary notes provided by Fried and Slowick in their article titled Enriching Goal-Setting Theory with Time, an Integrated Approach, which appeared in the Academy of Management Journal. And we're going to get that one somewhere here on the screen as well. So Locke and Latham reviewed 400 lab and field studies over a 25-year period and have identified 4 moderating factors which affect the relationship between goals and performance. To set a goal is one thing, to execute on those goals is quite another. So in other words, there are 4 factors that influence the degree to which goals will lead to and result in an increase in performance. And here are the 4 issues that Locke and Latham believed we ought to know before we run blindly into our goal-setting journey. Number 1, specific high or hard goals, difficult goals, lead to a higher level of task performance than do easier goals or vague, abstract goals, such as the exhortation to do one's best. But it's not just about specific goals, it's specific and hard, or specific and difficult goals. Right, so the goal needs to be challenging, to be specific and challenging according to Locke and Latham, but there is a caveat provided by Fried and Slowick, and that's that highly complex jobs, rather than simple, routinized, repeatable jobs, in highly complex jobs, do your best goals are often more effective than specific goals. So that's kind of maybe counterintuitive. It has to be specific. We know that from SMART goals, specific and difficult, according to Locke and Latham. But Fried and Slowick have mentioned and identified that, except for the fact that in highly complex jobs, then a more generalized do your best or less specific goal is often more effective. I think I know why that is. We'll touch on that in a minute. Number 2, so number 1, specific and hard, but more accurately, just hard. Number 2, identified by Locke and Latham, the individual must have the requisite and realistic ability to achieve the goal. Okay, so what does that mean? Stretch goals. Everybody loves them. Stretch goals are fine. But there needs to be support in terms of genuine knowledge, skills, and abilities, we call those competencies, and the supporting organizational resources to actually achieve these stretch goals. This means that we can't have people set lofty goals and then fail to support through organizational resources and think that somehow the simple act of setting the difficult goal and the provision of some far-off accomplishment will drive forward motion. It won't, at least not in a long-term sustainable way. And we can look at Victor Vroom's expectancy theory to better understand why that is, and perhaps we need to create a second separate video to unpackage that one. So number 1 has to be hard goals, and in some cases specific. Number 2, we need the individual or ourselves, we need to have a requisite realistic ability to achieve the goal, so it has to be achievable. Number 3, item identified by Locke and Latham is that an individual must be committed. There must be goal commitment. You must be committed to following through on the goal. There must actually be goal commitment, not just sending it out into the ether and hoping for the best. Fried and Slowick point out that commitment can be enhanced by increasing importance of the goal, specifically increasing personal importance of the goal. That goal must resonate with the individuals themselves. The goal must have personal relevance in order to motivate directed behavior and effort. So, the goal must be high on personal relevance, and as identified further by Fried and Slowick, goal commitment can be fostered by enhancing the individual's belief that they can actually obtain the goal. So it's not sufficient to be able to obtain the goal, you actually need to believe that you can obtain the goal. Further, Fried and Slowick note that consistent and early feedback regarding goal progress is required for the continued and successful pursuit of the goal. Number 4 item identified by Locke and Latham. In order for goal setting to actually lead to increased performance, there cannot be conflicting personal or organizational goals. In other words, let's take an example. A call center environment, which might reward call volume, as well as high levels of customer service with those goals made explicit, this environment will likely find that employees will either increase call volume at the expense of quality of customer service, or increase the length of call time in order to increase service quality while sacrificing call volume. And it is worth noting on this issue that if incentives for goal obtainment are high enough, so maybe it's a financial incentive, the incentive is high enough, or the punishment for failure is great enough, and the goal is difficult enough, with either a lack of goal-related resources or if there are conflicting goals, it will almost be certain outcome, and it should be expected, that we see ethical violations such as fraudulent call volume reporting or other attempts to game the system. You know, and we often look and go, well, oh my gosh, I can't believe we have fraud. This person is so dishonest. But in reality, sometimes we need to take a look in the mirror and say, well, how are we actually incentivizing this fraud? Sometimes it's the person, sometimes it's the context, most of the time it's both, right? So how are we actually incentivizing the fraud? And there's an interesting article which I won't dig into today, but it's about behavioral incentivization, right? Conditioning, and it's when you reward A and expect B. So I think that's another one to unpackage for another time. But this itself, it's a much deeper topic, worthy of another video. Okay, so getting back to goals. Fried and Slowick further add, by shortening timelines, though to a degree, shortening a timeline might increase goal-directed action and motivation, right? I mean, we've all seen this intuitively and anecdotally. You know, there's not a lot of motivation until that goal horizon, until that timeline horizon comes close, and then it's like, oh my gosh, let's scramble. Okay. Shortening timelines, though to a degree, might increase goal-directed action and motivation. Broadly speaking, more broadly, it has diminishing returns. Meaning that if timelines are made too short, there's a deleterious impact on goal motivation. Right? And this is probably because the decreased timeline erodes the self-efficacy that the individual has that they can actually achieve it. Remember, they need to actually believe that they can achieve the goal. And so if we set those timelines too tight and the person doesn't believe that they can achieve the goal, then those timelines have a negative impact. Okay, right. So in other words, shortening timelines may decrease an individual's belief that the goal obtainment is possible when there's insufficient time allotted to the goal completion. That's what that means. Fried and Slowick note that this is especially true in complex jobs. So, here we go. Whatever the goal, or New Year's resolution you have set up for this new year, remember Lachlan Lathan's 4 cautions. Number 1, make the goal specific and difficult if the job can be simplistic or routinized. Make it general and difficult if the job is complex. Number 2, ensure that you have the requisite knowledge, skills, and abilities, we call those competencies, as well as organizational support and resources to actually achieve the goal. Number 3, make the goal of high personal relevance and seek early and frequent feedback. And finally, here we go, number 4, ensure that there are no conflicting goals which will stand in the way or compete for time or other necessary resources. With that, let's go set some goals for the year to come. Hope that helps. Follow me for more.